Jesteśmy live.
Live.
Jejku. No dobra, no to my nadajemy dzisiaj przede wszystkim chyba język trzeba zmienić, co? Jesteśmy z Krakowa, ale trzeba mówić w języku ludu wszystkich światów. Hello everybody.
Exactly.
Hello everybody, we are live. So today is the first time hybrid meetup, AWS User Group Kraków with Grand Parade.
Yeah, welcome everybody. So I really don't remember when we been here like last time.
Yes, it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2 wives ago, 1 kid ago. Yeah, everybody have, you know, some kind of time period that they can define differently than only years, you know. I'm 1 kid ago here.
Yeah, I'm also older.
Good. So welcome everybody here on Grand Parade. Crowds are incredible. The pizza, it's not enough. The beer is here. So if you are around, please join us if you feel comfortable to have a meeting on site. I know that this is the first one from 2 years, from long time.
Yeah.
And welcome everybody here on our YouTube channel. So you can ask questions. They will appear with a little bit of delay. So don't worry, we'll catch them all and we'll be able to read them and have this question and answer. And also we have, and now you talk because I will use the wrong words. You know?
Yeah.
I will just.
So
I will show
we
it.
have some gifts for you.
Yeah.
So there will be some questions after each presentation. You can just answer them on your phones, or if you watch us on YouTube, just go to link. It will be displayed there. You can see it, and just answer those questions, and you can get a backpack from Grand Parade, or you can also get AWS voucher for $25. So and after the presentations, we will just choose the people and give away our gifts. So do it. Definitely, there is beer and pizzas.
Yeah, but on site.
On site, of course.
Yeah, this time on site. So,
we will
sorry.
not check on YouTube if you have a here or
we
not.
can show you how good it is. You know. Okay, but in the end, everybody here is also invited. So feel free to join us and get to this link and do what is needed. So right now, Piotr, remotely, because everybody feel comfortable how we feel comfortable. So I'm very pleased that somebody's here, you know, live, and somebody's here and there somewhere, you know, over the internet in the clouds. So basically, Piotr will talk today a little bit about AKS. I think we should give him a place. Piotr, tell a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you will tell us, and the stage is yours. Yeah, we need to shut up.
Sure. So welcome everybody. My name is Piotr Kszyński. I work as a senior cloud SRE for a company called 𝐒𝐲𝐬𝐳, and one of our customers is WilliamHill at Grand Parade. So basically today I'm going to be talking about AWS EKS add-ons. This topic is so big that I try to compress it into the most important parts, which we will be focusing on scaling, a little bit of security, everyone's favorite topic, which is DNS, and some AWS specific add-ons that are out there for EKS. So yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, I can start presenting. Okay, cool. So we can see that, and the asterisk is not without the reason, because, well, you know, some rules may apply or not, if it's gonna make your life easier or not. So cool. Let's start with agenda. We are here at the moment at agenda. Apparently the introduction part was already done there, and like I said, I will be talking some add-ons regarding in terms of scaling, AWS EKS, security, it's always DNS, and AWS specific add-ons, and there will be some time reserved for questions and answers. So yeah, I'm Piotr Kieszczyński, as you can know from my name. I have several years of working within the public cloud. My main area of skills are AWS and GCP, and obviously Kubernetes, especially on public cloud. And I'm here today because I miss so much of giving presentations. I haven't done that in over a year. And from my experience, it's also a good thing that you will develop your skills, especially the soft ones. If you are somebody who's sitting all day in front of terminal, you need to have some chance to talk the things that you do on a daily basis. You can find me in the interwebs at 𝐒𝐞𝐥𝐮, like Twitter, GitHub, whatever there is out there. So yeah. Cool. So let's start with the scaling first, right? So what you can actually, so let's have some assumptions in terms of scaling. So we already deployed EKS. We don't want to scale things by ourselves. Nobody wants to be woke up by on-call call during the middle of the night and says, oh, there is no enough resources or your quotas are exhausted. So first thing first, what can you actually scale within AWS EKS? So let's split those in the normal Kubernetes world. You will have like the master part, the worker/nodes part, and the things that run on top of this Kubernetes cluster, apps, deployments, workloads, whatever the name you would like to use. Because we are using AWS EKS, we don't care about the first part, which is the master nodes, because that's what we are paying for. And also one note, some of this stuff can be applied to other clouds like Azure or GCP. But because this is AWS meetup, I will be focusing on AWS mostly. So yeah, in terms of like scaling the masters, you don't care about that because you bought the service, the managed service from AWS, and yeah, it should automatically scale. It should take care about the etcd, backing those things up, upgrading the control plane. That's fine. What about nodes? So in terms of scaling the nodes, we have several choices. So basically, I don't know how many of you heard about this thing called Cluster Autoscaler, which exactly takes care of upscaling and downscaling, not right sizing, just scaling the nodes that are worker nodes, and you run your workloads there. And also there is another add-on in terms of AWS EKS, which is AWS specific. So AWS node termination handler, as the name suggests, it handles the node termination if you're having like workloads that are being run on several availability zones within the spot instances types. And there is like capacity rebalance notification for like the spot instances. This will help you out flawlessly in terms of like managing your workloads and so on. And also there is one thing that I want to mention, is the scheduler, because we can talk about like how the scheduling works in Kubernetes, and basically the scheduler does the total opposite things, which basically tells you, okay, I don't want to have scheduled things here. And in terms of application, in terms of like scaling your application on top of Kubernetes, we can focus on things like metric server and things that are sort of built in, which is the horizontal pod autoscaler. And also, if you are on the next level of scaling, there is a vertical pod autoscaler. But I will talk in those in the detail just a little bit. So let's start with our Kubernetes cluster. We have several nodes, and we want to scale things up in terms of just the amount of nodes, right? We have an assumption that all of those nodes are the same size, because that's the recommendation of the cluster autoscaler, how it does work. So basically, it's pretty simple. So if we have like the nodes that we schedule, because overall Kubernetes works in such a way that we declare some state and Kubernetes tries to achieve it. For instance, we have a node with I don't know, 4 CPUs, 16 gigs of memory. We scheduled our replica set to extend this. Some of the pods will be spawned, and some of them will be on like pending state because out of the memory allocation, node taints, whatever there is. Pod affinities, there is so deep hole that I don't want to get to that. So basically, the cluster autoscaler requests and is able to talk with the cloud via its components, via Kube API talking to the cloud. So the new node is provisioned. Our Kubernetes master can schedule more pods because we have more nodes and so on. But it's not limited to that in terms of like, okay, we can scale up. We can also scale down the nodes that, for instance, we have a lower traffic. Our applications need less resources, so we don't have to pay for unutilized resources. It depends really on your kind of workload, because there are scenarios like if you have like business critical application and you expect the Black Friday, the promotion just started, I don't know, iPhones are available once again, so all the people want to talk about. So basically, you can let Autoscaler do the computation and thinking for you. It can work with several modes like least waste, underutilized, overutilized. You can do many things. So few recommendations for using cluster autoscaler. So basically, use the correct version regarding the Kubernetes version. Because EKS is not that far behind after the general availability of the Kubernetes, it used to be the worst one in terms of like comparison to the other clouds, but nowadays it's much better. So in terms of using cluster autoscaler, ensure that every pod has a resource request defined. You need to specify pod disruption budgets for kube system pods, which are like the things that are living in the Kubernetes, I don't know, kube node, kube proxy, all the system critical pods. And you can also specify like the pod disruption budgets for application pods. So you set up, okay, X amount of nodes, pods, or X amount percentages of the nodes can be disrupted at any time. So for instance, we have a 3 node setup, all the spots. One of the instances will go down because there is like capacity rebalancing. So that what comes the AWS node termination handler handy. So the cluster autoscaler will actually firstly recreate the node in different availability zone or in different capacity pool or whatever there is needed. And yeah, so the I was a little bit early with the AWS termination handler, but yeah. So basically, that was the node part. What about the application? You can use the easiest way how to scale your applications is to compute that based on the CPU and memory utilization, right? If you're, I don't know, you have your race up and it does use more memory than the CPU, if it's single-threaded, multi-threaded, if it does the heavy computation job like sidekicks jobs or different things. So yeah. Basically, that's why I mentioned the metric server, because this is the part in Kubernetes, and many of the add-ons are actually using that to do the computation in terms of like how many resources the pods are consuming, and it's calculating over the requested, not limited resources. And basically, if you want to use that, you can also use that with the external metrics or custom metrics. For instance, I want to scale my application based on the load balancer request. You can do that in Kubernetes, which is more advanced and more comprehensive than using just the memory and the CPU usage. But the usage may vary for your needs. And the most important part about the vertical and horizontal pod autoscaling is that do not use them both at the same time. Either you are using HPA or either you are using VPA. And VPA works in such way that you set up, like, your application will consume 2 CPUs and 8 gigabytes of RAM. But from time to time, like I had that example with my experience on the Node.js app, specifically Angular one. So the application had some spikes. So the pods were killed due to out of memory issue. But whenever we deployed the vertical part, the less nodes were trashing due to the limits, because the limits slowly increased and slowly decreased during the night, let's call that. So yeah, we have less trashing, less restarts on the applications, and so on. Okay, so about the node termination handler. So the node termination handler can read the instance metadata service processor. Also, so it can work in 2 ways, either the instance metadata service processor or SQS queue consumer. So, for instance, there is a scheduled maintenance window that you as a DevOps engineer or SRE or somebody who's just deployed the Kubernetes don't know if it happened. Like 2 days ago, it happened in US 1 that EBS volumes were deprecated. Like I always send hug ups to everyone who's working in US Fire Tier 1. so yeah, this is like a special region of AWS. So for instance, some of the real hardware will be replaced or removed. So you will get a notification that you need to recreate this instance or will be rebooted and so on. But you have a workload on that. So this add-on in Kubernetes will actually handle that. Okay, I have the notification that this needs rebooting. So it will evict the pods from that with the respect of pod disruption policies, like it will drain the node until the pod disruption policies. So that's really important why I'm mentioning to set it up in the first place. Also, it can handle like the pod instance termination notifications, like I said, in terms of like capacity rebalancing, or especially in most used regions like US1 or EUS1, there are some cases that you cannot spawn spot instances because there is no such capacity in each different availability zone, right? So also, like I said, for the rebalance thing, and it has also ability to send up the CNF init, like the instance will be marked as green in the EC2 console view. And also it can work as a processor for SQS queue that has all the things enabled in one time. So yeah, it can also like get a notification from auto-scaling groups. Like you wanted to shrink your auto-scaling group that you have, like your worker nodes, and actually it will, before killing the instance, it will drain it, so it will be less disruptive that way than just having an outage of one node that's being killed and so on. It also respects the bursting and guaranteed I don't remember exactly how it was called, but the quality of service thing in your Kubernetes deployments, that either the resources can be spawned dynamically, you can over provision nodes, or it will always guarantee that X amount of things will run on your instance. Right. Cool. So yeah, let's talk about a little bit of security. I hope you can understand me. So the really cool thing in terms of like AWS is how you can manage your secrets with AWS add-ons, with AKS add-ons, sorry. And one of the great ones is actually the external secrets. I will also have an example of how it does work. 𝐒𝐞𝐳, which allows your pods to assume roles. It's sort of deprecated, but not exactly deprecated, because nowadays we have new EC2 metadata provider that supports TLS, blocks man in the middle of the attacks, and so on. So you don't need to use something called metadata proxy before. Some of the companies like Lyft and so on had to use that in terms of better security. KubeVM does use that, but nowadays in terms of Kubernetes, you can actually mark the service account that have an EAM role, and you will assume that role. For instance, you have a GitHub worker or that's been deployed to the AKS, so you can actually assume the role in AWS, so it can, for instance, update list the ACM certificates, you can update the Lambda code, it can create an invalidation for your CloudFront. So whatever the role you are needed, then you can do that. Yeah. Also, really cool thing is that there is a cert manager as well built in. But if you want to really manage your own certifications, especially this is true to the on-prem deployments. But since we are in the cloud, we don't care about certificates. We just use ACM, and we are fine with that. So yeah, that's how let's talk about external secrets a little bit. So basically, what it does, we can, as everyone know, the secrets in Kubernetes are encrypted, which is not true because the encryption is base 64, and you can decrypt that with base 64 -b, right? -d, sorry, and there you go. You just decrypted the secret. Basically, this tool adds a new custom resource definition, which is called external secrets. So you can put those secrets in either AWS SSM Perimeter Store or AWS Secret Manager or HashiCorp Vault or whatever. So basically, if you want to have the secrets provisioned with Terraform and SOAPs, so they are stored securely, in newer versions of Terraform, you can actually set a variable to sensitive value, but still, it's not encrypted in the state, even if it's marked as sensitive. But yeah, there is SOAPs, and you can encrypt those things with KMS keys. So basically, this custom resource will populate your own Kubernetes secrets with freshly updated values from the AWS Secrets Manager, for instance. Let's see that. So we added, so this is how it does work exactly. So are added in the cluster with the definition of the new CRD. The kube API, the controller fetches external secrets using the Kubernetes API. Controller uses external secrets to fetch secret data from external providers, for instance, AWS Secret Manager. And controller upserts secrets, and pods can actually use secrets in normal, regular way. So let's do that. So we create a secret named hello service with password with some random string 1, 2, 3, 4. In Kubernetes, then we create a resource which is called external secret, and we named it as a hello service, and we can specify the role that can retrieve the data for that. So we can limit like to which secrets some applications can get those values and so on. And yeah, we just specify the key and the name. And then afterwards, in our Kubernetes, if we will get that secret, as we are getting, please note that we are getting the secret, not external secret, we will see exactly the encrypted data. This is base 64, like I said, so it's not an encryption. And then you can use that secret within any any kind of deployments or pods, replica sets, whatever we are doing. So yeah, one of the coolest stuff that you can do with this. Okay, let's move to the favorite thing, which is the DNS, everyone's favorite in the world of Kubernetes. And let me say that it's always DNS, even when it's not this DNS. So what we can do about the DNS in Kubernetes? Back in the day, we used kubedns for all the deployments. Nowadays, since version 1.11, which is old and deprecated. Core DNS is general available, announced within 1.11. Please use Core DNS over kubedns. There are some cases like external lookups or internal lookups that kubedns is better, but still, Core DNS is a multi-threaded Go. kubedns is single-threaded C++. There are some performance charts that you can look up if you are going to the like really big clusters, 5,000 plus nodes and so on. But let's talk about like few hundred nodes. Core DNS is much better. Also, in terms of like, if you, one of the projects that I did participated, we had an issue with Ruby application that from time to time, the lookups to RDS were like, okay, I cannot see that. So we started with scrapping the Prometheus metrics about the time that we spent on DNS lookups. And we saw like 11 times more improvement after we deployed the node local DNS because like the caching wouldn't even hit the Kubernetes API for service discovery for some of the stuff. But since it was external, it was also like cached, and like endpoints for RDS doesn't change often or at all in most cases. So the lookups time, like was saying, were like 11 times faster, and we didn't see that issue anymore with like, okay, what we can, we don't have like a name not result or so. Also cool thing that you can do with DNS in terms of like add-ons, there is this thing called external DNS for dynamic DNS updates from Ingress. So if you have like deployed Ingress controller with, you have our AWS load balancer Ingress controller, so your layer 7, I'm not sure, I'm always bad at those things. You will set up like a dime. Okay, this is great for like having inferal environments. So you will have just one resource, which is AWS load balancer. It will populate the names with like CNAMEs and so on. You will just add a new block of hosts to that. Like, okay, this is my front-end version, whatever the commit name .example.com. It can populate that, and it will set up a CNAME in the external hosted zone. So you can actually reuse one load balancer to have a multiple environments hitting on it. And it's great for like having inferal environments, or just don't worry about how you will update the DNS records after you will change things on top of Ingress, because that's what the controllers are made for. And I highly recommend using controllers for everything that you can possibly think of, because you don't want to do that job manually if there are things that will do it better than you. Cool. So just to sum up, I'll talk about a little bit about the very AWS specific things. This is the list of the things that I found like yesterday about the just AWS add-ons that you can deploy to your Kubernetes cluster. App Mesh, as you may or not know, is a service discovery thing for the applications provided by AWS. If you don't want to use Istio, you want to really have like really AWS native thing, the App Mesh is good for you. And the node termination handler, which I spoke earlier about. Calico, if you want to have, if you do want to use different networking done built in Kubernetes on, if you are on AWS EKS, you will usually use the VPC CNI, which has some flaws, like in terms of like the exhaustion of IP addresses and so on. But there are also good things on the AWS VPC CNI. Because you can set up like security groups pod-to-pod level, which is nice. Calico allows you to use network policies in the Kubernetes. So yeah, it may vary depend on your use case. Like I already mentioned, like the load balancer controller, which basically manages your AWS load balancer from Kubernetes level. So if you spawn an ingress or service with type of load balancer, it will actually create that for you, do the updates, like in how many hosted zones, if I want to have some redirects, paths, SSL certificates, whatever there is. So you can automate that. And the last thing is the SIG-v4 proxy admission controller, which is used to sign requests, especially if you want to deploy stuff like AWS Prometheus or authenticate to Grafana. This is the thing that we will need to use just for the automation of the authentication between your components that are being deployed and AWS managed services. So yeah. Basically, do you have, guys, any questions? I didn't think I would be that quick. Yeah, so it's possible. So let me just look it up for you. So I love this part. There is this cool thing about AKS, which is if you look up on the AWS containers roadmap. So if you are using the managed nodes scales to 0, yeah, you can do that with the managed nodes nowadays, because previously it depends on your use case. If you are using the managed nodes or you are using the self-hosted auto-scaling groups, you can have a Lambda that will do that for you. So it will actually the update the amount of the in terms of the security group and so on. So yeah, you can save a bug with that or during the weekends, but it depends basically on your application. Where is the night? Because yeah, things may differ.
Great. Are there any questions from the audience here? Nobody. Okay.
Okay. Everybody, after the pandemic times, they are not so hesitate to try. Guys, there are prizes for that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This one. Just kidding. Good.
Any other questions from our channel on YouTube?
Nope.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for this presentation. And we need to take a little break because we need to switch laptops, and it's usually destroy everything, all the setup here. So give us a moment.
Yeah.
Piotr, thank you very much.
Of hybrid mode. So thank you again for Piotr. That was very nice.
Yeah, I hope next time I'll be here at Krakow, because from Poznań to Krakow it's a little bit far away. There's no direct flight.
Perfect draw.
Yeah,
just traffic jams today in Krakow are incredible, so no worries. It's it's crazy.
Next time.
Yeah, especially this time. So, but maybe next time you can join us as well here on site. So
I'm looking forward to it and getting some zapiekanka from Okrąglak. So yeah.
Yeah, zapiekanka is good. It's traditional Polish junk food. The second one is kebab, and the third one is pizza. It's a traditional Polish food. When somebody's coming to Krakow, you take him there. You take him for a Kazimierz.
And żubrówka.
Oh, żubrówka, yeah, the traditional beverage. Yeah, family beverage. Family beverage.
The trick about żubrówka. The best part about drinking żubrówka is that you will grab the string of grass and try to whistle on it afterwards.
Yeah. I don't think that after an entire bottle you will be able to do that, or it's going to be a fantastic, experience. Guys, Grzesiek, where is Grzesiek? Grzesiek is there. Okay, there. Grzesiek, come on here. Maria, if you can put a screen on us. Thank you, Piotr, for helping us today and your lovely, pleasant presentation. So we will let Grzegorz to connect himself to the and I think we should tell a little bit about this pool. Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
next time we will make a QR code. I know. Good.
Yeah, just a sec.
Guys here, sorry, we'll have a technical break for 5 minutes. So it's a perfect moment to grab a beer or take a slice of pizza or entire pizza. It's up to you, your convenient, your capacity. So it will take a moment. Oh my God, the title of your presentation is like, I'm crazy, man. I try to memorize it, but it's like half of the book. But I like this one, which you have right now on the presentation, how to build an analytics pipeline with a small team. Small team, good. Because this one, on the website, oh my goodness. Damn it, it was like 5 sentences. It was good, but too long. Yeah, it's visible. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the mic, but don't worry, wait a second. We need to connect you first to our... We'll just connect to our...
magic of hybrid mode again.
Good, first try. So I think that if you get, guys, if you enter the link,
yeah.
If you enter a link, there is still going on this pool when on the end we'll pick up guys to get a backpacks. How many backpacks do we have? 25 backpacks? Oh my God, we have for entire school. Okay, 25. Okay, the voucher is for $25 for AWS, but I was afraid, 25 backpacks. Oh my God, like we, sponsoring some school there.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Just one more minute. Grab another piece of pizza, another beer, maybe. It's good time to have a break.
They will connect these meetings with in an enormous amount of food and drinking. Which is kind of good connection in the end. It's like a Christmas Eve. Okay, could you mute yourself?
Yes, please. The question is if the slides will be shared. So definitely there will be the YouTube video available. If that's fine. I'm not sure about the slides. We can ask and put in on the meetup page if you would be interested. But definitely the video will be available on the YouTube, so you can watch it again if you want. You can also maybe post some comments or questions there as well.
I have no idea, but we will try. Let's see.
Let's have another try.
One moment.
O, okej. Dokładnie. No wiesz, tam polski, no nie wiem, czy tak się bardzo działa. To było, no. Czy na razie nie tam, gdy rzutnik jest skomponowany, nie?
Good. Wait a second.
Yeah, we are almost there. Just keep one more minute.
Good. Everybody see your pictures right now, so it's the proper screen. Yeah, the best thing of presenting it live, Good. I hope you don't have, your demo live, because usually... Oh, no, perfect. all the fun. Yeah, we are good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
We are good also, I think, on YouTube, from what I can
Just
say.
one technical thing. Do not go cross the line. There is a lasers, and they will cut you in half. So watch out on this, okay? And we will activate it right now. So the stage is yours, man. And here's your mic.
Yeah, have fun.
Guys. Okay. So I have a topic for you, and hello all. So before we dive into the actual presentation and the subject of the presentation, I wanted to quote some numbers from the 𝐒𝐳𝐲, from their article about the global gaming market, because of course this is about building the analytics pipelines for games. The projected gamers population in 2021 is forecasted to be 2.7 billion people. If you think about it, the entire world population, it's 7.6 billion, which makes it like roughly 36% of the world population plays some sorts of mobile games. If we take and include PC and console players, roughly 1.3 billion, that makes even more like 52% of entire world population playing some sort of gaming. So you can imagine how the market developed over those past 20 or 30 years. And here's why we need analytics and the pipelines for the games. My name is 𝐒𝐤𝐻 𝐿ę𝐝𝐳𝐲, and I'm a senior solutions architect for GameTech for EMEA in Poland. And I have a pleasure to present you a topic, how to build an analytics pipeline with a small team. So who I am, I'm working in IT for more than 12 years, mostly enterprise segment on multiple positions from system administration, storage, mainframes, cloud, and architecture. Recently, I've moved to AWS GameTech in EMEA due to long-lasting experience and exposure, of course, to the games, and personal interest. I used to host the MMORPG servers down in the basement. So this is like a recipe for how to connect the hobby with your actual job. And if it comes about gaming, my favorite titles, I have to say it: the CRPG, Witcher 3, Horizon Zero Dawn, Terra Online, Legends of Zelda, and Old But Besties, Cabal Online, if you ever played this MMORPG, and Guild Wars 2. Having said that, in today's sessions, I would like to discuss analytic pipelines, how they are built on AWS, and what are the options that you have in AWS to build them, actually. I will talk about how some of our customers are building their own pipelines too. Even more importantly, I will try to walk you through the question why analytics is so important, and how can you get the most value of your time and effort. We will review a recent addition to AWS Solutions, the Gaming Analytics Pipeline solution, which is a ready-made template, as you know, solutions, from the implementations page. So it's a ready-made template. You can get started incredibly fast. CloudFormation, you just deploy it. Or you can use it as a base to build your own pipeline, to develop it further or beyond what is in the solution itself. It's licensed under Apache 2.0, so it's basically an open source. You can find it on GitHub, so you can modify it basically. So after the presentation, I hope that you will have a better understanding what the pipelines are, what they are used for, and how valuable those are for the games. Okay, let's start with the magical question, why? Game studios and publishers put a large emphasis on having a robust analytics pipeline set up for their titles, but why it's so important? You might think, yeah, business-wise, it makes sense, but what is the goal of the analytics? So as you're developing a game and the title, or even a mobile application of some sort, it's important that you have the right information at the right time to answer the right questions about how your game or application is performing and what changes you need to make to keep the players engaged, right? You really keep to have those players engaged. This allows you to iterate quickly and provide a generally better experience. To speak some numbers, in 2020, I know it's almost 2 years, but to acquire a new player, game companies had to spend around $1.47, and to turn this player into actual buyer, right, in-app purchases or other skins, loot boxes, etc., companies had to spend $43. It's according to UI trends and benchmarks by Liftoff. So you might think there's a huge gap in between, getting the player to play your game and then to actually turning it to actual customer of your company. Right analytics is especially important now in these days when we are transitioning to as a service models, where companies continue to invest the game after the launch and treating them more like online services, making modifications to the gameplay and balancing your game based on the factual data and usage. Business models are changing too. If you heard about the play to earn, like with NFT tokens and the subscriptions and the microtransactions, I think everybody heard about microtransactions. So you need really fast response from the data you're actually gathering to be able to respond to the events happening in online services, because you can't take them really down, right? So analytics play a role also in fraud detection, finding unusual behavior, and of course possible cheating. By looking at the game, the application infrastructure level, you're able to even catch the issues of your infrastructure before your users or players notice that something is going high wire with the entire infrastructure. And the sole purpose of the analytics pipeline is to help you achieve this by making the right decisions. It's often viewed as the flywheel. So like a flywheel, we like flywheels. They show the transition of states. More data gives you the opportunity to create a better design, better designed levels, and better balanced and more fun gameplay. On the other hand, leads to a better experience. A better experience for players and for your actual users will result in more engaged and happier players who share their joy, of course, with their friends. If we think about MMORPGs, you would like to play them with friends. So if you say to your friend and you recommend a game, you have the larger player database, larger sessions, longer sessions that will give you more data, which of course completes the circle all around. And of course, let us pick AWS customer, our customer Supercell. If you haven't heard about them, they are famous from the Clash of Clans, Brawl Stars, very famous games for my nephew was playing it a lot, and he was inviting me to have a clan with the Brawl Stars. And they said that they are not in the top 10 list just because everybody loves their games. It's a hard work, and they are listening to the community and their players. They provide additional features and balancing the game to make it fair for everybody. Till this point, you probably heard or maybe caught a word more data a few times in this presentation. But what kind of data do we really collect, right? So you may imagine, right, session, we would like to know when we start the game, when our players start, stop, the game progression, how are they progressing through the games, how they're, if they are skipping the levels, if they are actually playing the game, what is hard, what is not. Location, where are in the game, they are in the menu, in the lobby, playing a session in the game chat, in the store. And of course, the blockers, anything which would prevent your game launcher crashes. You would like to be notified about it, creating some crash dump analysis, why it happened. Additionally, we can look into metrics that influence the core in-game mechanics. So really, you would like to know the feedback from your game servers because that's where the major processing is happening. You can get a feedback from player decisions. For example, in class-based game, coming back to MMORPGs, what classes do players choose the most? Whether the class selection affects the PvP, PvE, all the combats within the game. And maybe there are some players flowing from one class to the new class you just introduced because you did the wrong balancing of the skills and making one class overpowered. These situations happen. You need to know about it, and you even might want to collect something beyond that, direct feedback from your players via surveys, reviews, or a verbal feedback. You can derive the metrics from this telemetry, such as the daily active users, how many unique players played your game in the last 24 hours, weekly, monthly, annually, and of course the business metrics. I will call the acronym now, the ARPDAU, which stands for the average revenue per daily active user. Tough word. How many people go for in-app purchases or unlocking paid in-game features, or how many videos, ads, and if they are skipping through the ads in your game, especially shout out to mobile developers. And of course, there is terms like player churn and player retention. Player churn, if they are joining the game, just playing and just dropping the game, not to play it ever since after 3 days. You really would like to maintain these players. Remember, if you spend like $41.47 or $43 for a player, you would like to maintain it. Any events you collect should also consider like a unique ID, timestamp, and what is the user if they are logged in. When you're working with all this data that you need to derive insights from, right? Because the data doesn't automatically tell you something about the state of your game. You just need to have the insights from it. It's important to understand that it has a shelf life, and the data loses value very quickly as time progresses. If you think about it, the tournaments, the scoreboards, you might want to throw within seconds. If there are prizes, you would like to notify the users who won also very quickly. Traditionally, much of the analytics we perform was on older data and used for reporting purposes. But now with the games, again, transitioning to these really online services, and constantly evolving beings, there is a lot of value in having the ability to gather insights as close to real time as possible. This allows you to reduce the time it takes to fix issues, right? When it crashes, and it crashed for Windows 10 for 90% of the player population, you need to check your game launcher, right? You need to, also be able to monitor the in-game mechanics. Again, throwing the MMORPG example, the MMORPG games or the open world games, they tend to have very complex monetization scheme, right? So you have players earning the money for something, selling, trading, and burning that money somewhere that the money needs to circulate within the game. And you don't want to have unwanted cash flow within your game, because it in some cases makes getting to quests, dungeons really worthless, because you just found an exploit at the game, not necessarily cheating, but just exploiting. And you have a lot of money. You don't need to go anywhere. You can buy anything you want. And that, of course, means inflation in the game and the game currency if you have the marketplace. One of the examples I could give you, back in 2015, when the CDPR released The Witcher 3, there was a fine exploit found. You could farm the cow hides. You could just kill the cows, meditate for 2 hours. They would come back, they would respawn. You could kill them again, and you could do it very quickly. It costed 27 orens to get all this hides, and people in the game get very expensive items very early, and it was of course patched. But if you think about it, without the telemetry or without gathering this data, ingesting this data, reacting to the threads on Reddit, maybe it's not the best strategy. And even though I have listed a number of things that could be interesting for you for collecting, take care to think about which data really matters to you, to your application, to your game, and what would be good to collect. What I enumerated was what players are doing, validate core mechanics and business metrics. But this experimentation, it's good to start by thinking backwards from the questions you want to ask and the answers that you are actually looking for. So start with formulate which questions that you would like to find the answers to. Create a hypothesis about what could be an explanation or way to answer it. And of course, from there, choose the right data to collect and experiment to validate or disapprove your hypothesis, right? Like a scientific approach. And of course, I have an example for you. That's an example of the game called Breakaway. You want to come up with, a set of questions that you would like to answer for, but the questions like, do people like my game? Do they like my game and they would like to stay? They would like to purchase something in the game. How can I avoid people leaving my game? Those are not really questions you can answer. Those are more like social questions, which, no data which you can gather from your game servers or the clients can, lead you to possible answers. So this leads to that we can measure only what our players and player actions, and we can come up with hypotheses and prove it wrong or prove it right. Following on that Breakaway example, this is still the game. That was the 4x4 battle arena game. At the start of the game, there is in the middle, maybe it's visible on the bigger screen. There in the middle, there was the object called Relic, and of course, there are two opposite relays called relays. There are the respawn points for the players of opposing teams, and on the sides of the map, maybe it's visible. There is like the green and the red. Those are the power-ups. There is a warrior standing at the relay. Just by looking at this map, right, the sizes and knowing a bit about the game mechanics, you win if you take the relic, steal it from the middle, and bring it to your relay. You might form the hypothesis that for the balanced gameplay, you would like to see and observe players end up being killed in the more or less center of the map, throughout the center of the map, where you have the the path to bring this relic to your relay, meaning spawning spot. If those locations are distributed evenly around the whole map, probably the map is lacking variety and it's actually boring because you can go anywhere, and players are bored playing it. Similarly, if all deaths happen at the same spot, you are making map which is not really interesting to explore, and players are camping in the one side. You can bring the examples of DDoS 2 in Counter-Strike. You know all the camping spots. You need to have the map which is really interesting for the player to explore. So about the method, ask questions from the hypothesis. And now for this game, the hypothesis was most or many deaths will occur in the center of the map where they run to grab the relic. It's possible players will also fall off the edges of the map when they are trying to move the relic to the other team's base and avoid getting hit. Here is an example telemetry which helped to answer this question. It's a JSON object from the game client or authoritative dedicated server, which should tell you, in aggregation what was there. So Breakaway, what they did was build an app to generate the heat map from the data they have in Amazon Redshift. If you don't know what the Redshift is a cloud data warehouse, and this map shows the concentration of deaths. A SQL query aggregates the events and concentrates them to one by one meter cells, of course, in the game dimensions. So we had the hypothesis, right? So now the question, where are the devs? So conclusion of that, right, just to bring up the hypothesis back, most or many devs will occur in the center of the map. As players run to grab the relic, it's possible players will also fall off the edges of the map. So conclusion, right, many players devs do occur in the center of in the middle of the arena. And of course, this is represented by this heat map and the great color. So this is right. But what about our power-ups? If you remember, they were on the sides of the relic. They were the power-ups, but there are not many devs occurring, really. So what does it mean, really? Or the power-ups are not valuable enough for the players to risk getting them. So you probably need to think about some balancing. And here is the pseudo SQL code, which could led to that example, to that aggregation. And if you paid a closer attention to this heat map, you could find the 4 interesting things on the map. And those are those 4 popular, popular spots where, near the power-ups, where the area widens. I'm shining, isn't it? Okay. That's a really star of the show. Another interesting thing stands out. These 4 corners are especially dangerous for players, right? They die a lot there. So we didn't anticipate that coming. And here is something we can investigate further by test gameplays or just tweaking our map. One of the biggest takeaways for this example is that without the telemetry, the simple telemetry, like map name Eldorado, player devs, and the exact spots, and you wouldn't be aware that there are such spots, and which could possibly create a players drifting away from your game. Now I would like to look at the anatomy of the analytics pipeline. You want to be able to capture data in real time and then push it into a flexible storage or permanent storage to analyze it further or batch it up and store it for later. So it starts with the telemetry data on the left, such as in-game events that are generated by the actions, as we already observed. An example is, of course, the player dev event, which includes what happened, when it happened, and where it happened on the map. And on the other hand, on the side of that chart, we have the visualization, the data the insights we derive from the data we gathered. Such pipeline usually has the 4 higher level steps. The first one being the ingest, because you really need to collect this data. Event streaming, you know it for modern applications as well. We need to store it somewhere for the future batch, for example, processing, or create a longer term analytics. In addition, we are going to have an access for transforming or processing this data to make it future analysis for more efficient performance. Then once we have the answers we need, we can bring up the right and user tools, such as Tableau, QuickSight, to visualize this data. Hopefully at this stage, you know that you need to collect the data, or at least the value of collecting the data, and visualizations and answering the right questions with your data can bring the benefits not only for your application but also for your businesses. And traditionally, such approach with event scaling, if you ever design such architecture, is always, because this is the heart of your system, you would like to make it an HA, highly available as possible. And this brings challenges also with scale, because these events tend to grow, and this event storage needs to be permanent for some reason of analytics and analyzing it further. And these challenges have been a focus for AWS for many years. So we come up with the services which help you to address those challenges. Okay, so moving to example pipeline. How do you assemble the building blocks, really the AWS building blocks, in the way that makes sense and works for you? We have a few examples on how you can utilize the services, AWS services, of course, such as this reference architecture for, it's called Serverless Analytics Pipeline for mobile games. So let's get through it. You have a Amazon Kinesis data stream in the middle. This is the ingestion mechanism that we use to take all events are coming from various sources, right? So you have the game clients generating those events. Everything comes together, and it's put into the Kinesis stream. The game clients, the authoritative dedicated servers and other backend systems can directly talk to Kinesis using, for example, the AWS SDK, because those are our infrastructure. We trust them, so we might just talk directly to them. On the other hand, there are also the game clients already mentioned multiple times, and this is the infrastructure you don't own, you don't have any control of. So you would like to have some sort of authorization, authentication in existing before they are able to actually talk to your infrastructure and generate the events. If you think about it, if you have the game client and somebody decompiles it and you have no authentication, they can completely create your data unusable for any reasonable data mining or processing and analytics. Of course, that comes, with Amazon Cognito to provide the temporary credentials to Kinesis data stream, and that way you can talk to Kinesis. For this, you could also think about adding the Amazon API gateway to authenticate the requests, so that the mobile game submits events via the REST API. Without integrating actual SDK into your game clients. API Gateway can integrate with Kinesis stream through AWS Service Integration, and the dedicated servers and other backend system could, of course, use that method too. So you might go past the API Gateway, but then you need to think about the cost of the solution, because this is bringing additional service in front of Kinesis and processing all the events, and all events would be flowing through it. On the other side of the solution, we have storing of the data and the metrics, and this is where you start seeing how we start to treat data differently. Just storing it for the future batch processing. Before I said also that you would like to keep your hot data closer, you would like to process it faster. And this is with keeping your data on Amazon S3 in that sense, using Kinesis data firehose. At some sort, you might say, I'm done. My analytics is complete. That's why this is the modular approach. You don't need to go. And not everybody needs, live dashboards. Not all games have it. Not all games need it. And the third, of course, third option you have, it's use the Amazon Kinesis data analytics with AWS Lambda, or using the SQL or Java Flink. You could process the streaming data in sliding window and output the aggregations, sums, or other SQL aggregations, and you could integrate it via the SNS or with other services or your in-house services. Okay, I'm Kinesising for a while now with and mentioned it very few times now. But if you never use it, Kinesis is a service that tends to be the heart of analytics pipelines, as you've seen, similar to MSK, the managed streams for Kafka, Apache Kafka. Amazon Kinesis allows you to easily collect, process, and analyze data and video streams in real time. It comes in different versions, which we have, or I have briefly discussed on the previous slides. The Kinesis data streams, this is which capture really processes and stores data streams. You have Kinesis Data Firehouse that loads the data streams into data stores like OpenSearch, Amazon S3. You could just output it, for example, for S3 in a Parquet format for further ad hoc analysis. And of course, the Kinesis Data Analytics, which allows you to run the queries, SQL queries against your streaming data with SQL and Java Flink. And you can connect it actually to both the Kinesis data streams and Kinesis Data Firehouse. Here is an example of the pipeline of AWS customer. You probably have heard about the Epic Games. They are the famous title Fortnite, right? They are also creators of Unreal Engine and Gears of War, if you ever played that. And they heavily rely on Amazon Kinesis to power the ingestion of real-time data. If you don't know the Fortnite, it's really massive, phenomena in the gaming world. They have, millions of users active, and this is free to play, battle royale, 100 versus 100 style of the game. So on the left, there are several different systems that generate data as the game servers, client, online systems, and more. And this data is generated, is sent to Kinesis data streams, where Epic runs different systems to process this data depending on the requirements, right? Because this is online game, like online service I was mentioning before. They also run the tournament data from it. They run the long-term analytics, data mining, and they have the different paths to digest it. For the near real-time pipeline, which delivers data to dashboards and scoreboards and the tournament system, and their batch pipeline, which allows them to do the reporting and interactive ad hoc querying on data in their data lake in S3. S3 is a great place for that, really, because it's scalable, cost-effective, and if you enable the intelligent tiering, it's also quite cost-efficient. And it's supported by a number of tools and frameworks, both commercial and open source. And Epic uses their analytics pipeline for anything from service health, detecting outages of the internet service providers, because they have a global distribution of their game, right? That's a global phenomena. They are able even to pick up and say, okay, this ISP is not working in the globe, and react on that because the players from given IP range are not able to join their games, their sessions. They're also validating tournament results and giving prizes, basic KPIs, and of course analyzing their games to make them better and develop. Now there is the Season 8 coming, and this all is because of collecting the and analyzing the data in developing the game further to engage your players more. To achieve that, at the time of the presentation they were giving and sharing the numbers, they were picking 125 million events per minute, and ultimately resulting in 5 petabytes of data added to their S3 lake per month. There's a good video on YouTube where Epic Games Director of Platform, Chris Dill, shares some of those numbers. Okay, we are almost at the demo part. That will be challenging. But how to get started? So what's the right approach for you to get started with all the analytics and the pipelines? And that's, of course, depending on your needs, the sizes, experience of your team, experience of, with AWS services. I've shown you some components like Kinesis, S3, Cognito for authentication, Lambdas. And you can use those components to build your own analytics pipeline from scratch, utilizing the breadth and depth, of course, of AWS services, and tune it to exact needs. The other way, and I was actually showing this architecture, you could start from reference architecture, such as the serverless analytics pipeline. The serverless here is the keyword. There is no really real servers running the code for the analytics pipeline. And use that as the inspiration and the guideline for your own analytics pipeline. And the third one, which I'm going to show you in a second, there is the deployable solution, which is called Game Analytics Pipeline, which is provided with CloudFormation to get started in minutes. And now I have a demo for you, and this is the live demo. So I will try to deliver that. Let me just get that streaming sorted out. Let me share myself. And so that will be, like a devil's mirror loop, but I hope that will be visible. Is it visible? I'm not sure. I don't have the direct visual feedback. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just give me a second. For the people in house, don't look at my pictures. Okay. We should be on. Is it visible to everybody? Okay, cool. Now probably they will ask me to reconnect and re-authenticate. Maybe not. Okay, so I'm connected to an EC2 instance that's running the code. If you deploy the analytics pipeline solution, you have to, excuse me, because I have I'm typing with my right hand. I'm left-handed, by the way. So here is the what CloudFormation deploys. It deploys the solution comes in packed the event generator. So I'm going to show you that now. For those fans of VI or Vim, I'm just using Vim. Yeah, that would be challenging with one hand. Did that disconnect? Okay. Yeah, I'm doing that. Back to visible. Where is the line? Is it visible now? Okay. Of course, the disclaimer. This example using it's just an event generator. By the way, I'm running it in the screen in the background, so it generates the events for my application. It just simulates what your game clients would do. If we go very briefly and very quickly through the code, that are a few definitions. But what really is important here is that it generates this kind of event. So you have user registration and so on, user knockout, and it simulates that it generates them in batches of 100 events, and it's sending it to Kinesis using the Kinesis SDK, the bot of free for the Python. It simulates also, of course, the countries where our simulated users are coming from, the currencies, platforms, tutorial screens, where I talked about briefly about it, where your user or the player is within the game. Match type, matchmaking failed. Of course, this is to simulate that, okay, something is wrong with your game with matchmaking. few maps, game results, some spells. Of course, you would like to track everything, but be careful with that. The game data analytics also takes the user bandwidth. If you overload it with analytics, you need to make some system to scale down or make it less verbose. Your data analytics or events which you send to your analytics pipeline. And this is, of course, the random generation. So I'm not going to dive deeper than that. I'm just going to show you that it really what it does. It sends events to client. It takes the Kinesis stream you get from the solution from CloudFormation output tab. In a given batch size, it's set up to 100 by default, and the application ID. Just to list it. It's really sending for some time. I've set up it to run in the background. So it's good that it's working. And now let's get to Kinesis. I will show you what this solution has set up. So I already mentioned those Kinesis many times during this presentation, but they are the data streams, data firehose, and data analytics set up for this solution with the count of 1. There's not really much to it to show you after you have these streams set up. So I think that if we talk about the analytics, I'll show you that it comes with also pre-built queries in Athena. And if we go to our saved queries, that comes with, for example, total completion levels. Let me run that very quickly. This solution is running for 9 months now. And where's my data catalog? Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's when the schema should be there. And this is something with the live demos. Okay. Let me get my queries again. It was running fine just a second ago. Okay, so maybe I will go just through the other query. I sure hope it should work. Okay, I'm in the right workspace. The data catalog is right, and we have saved queries. We have the live completion date. Okay, this should be running fine. Okay, so that shows the percentage, of course, of the level completion date. But this is just, a real quick of how can you do the ad hoc analysis of the data which is stored on S3. I will show you, the something like with the breakaway example. You could go with QuickSight. I've set up a quick dashboard for the QuickSight itself. And this solution, the Game Analytics Pipeline, also set up all the, the pipelines and the queries you could use. There is the data set and analysis for it. It's called raw events. This is how it comes stock from the solution itself. And now if we move to the dashboard, really something which gives the meaning to your game, this is something what you can tell. So having that, you can see the events coming from. You can, based on that number, you're able to tell whether you have any issues with your gamers or the gamers are actually flowing away from your game. You have less registered users, less event coming from. Something might be broken at this state because it's down 43%. This is in time period from starting of the August till today. There is a very interesting marker called overall level completion rate. So you see whether your users are actually skipping the levels, or they are actually playing and they are engaged within the game. And there is also a level completion rate by those 5 generated levels. And we can observe, okay, throughout the months, the users were completing the level 1, but only a really few reached to level 5, 4, and 5. Maybe we made level 3 too difficult for them, so not many of them are able to pass beyond that point. There is, of course, the level completion rate by application, and this is also used. The Game Analytics Pipeline also used to see, because you have multiple versions of your application, iOS, Android, Windows, Mac OS. You would like to see really where the issue is coming. If you will see that there are level completion rates lower in some of your technologies, maybe there is something wrong with that current version. Maybe you would like to talk to the team or dig deeper into the data to really pinpoint the issue. And of course, the app versions playing the role if the overall game client populations you would like to monitor as well. And this is powered, of course, 𝐾𝐥𝐻 is connected to the data source, which is stored on S3 in the bucket, and this data is driven live from the events the event generator is creating. So at this stage, that concludes the short demo. And just to, the sharing. Just to go through the Game Analytics Pipeline and, just to finish my little short presentation here. This is the architecture of the slide from the current slide. It will be like that. So the architecture of the solution, which is deployable with the solutions page from the implementations page. It takes all the data coming from these events and passes it through the Kinesis data streams. Of course, there is written in the solution itself, there is the Lambda authorizer is written, so it generates the API key, validates the key, and based on that, this data is passed to Kinesis. It fully is able to authorize it with the 𝐒𝐞𝐵. So if you're not in favor of API keys, you may want to just use the 𝐒𝐞𝐵 for authentication of your users. And there are those 3 stages, right? The Kinesis data analytics for the hot data processing, streaming ingestion with data Firehose and Lambda. This is Firehose stores data for batch processing. And we have also the metrics sent to CloudWatch. Data lake is created on S3 with the Glue data catalog. And of course, as you've seen, Athena and quickside. Athena is based for the quickside for the dashboarding and visualization of the data. And this, of course, gives the feedback to the customer, business, or yourself. I will share the links with you for the implementations page, GitHub page, and of course, where you can review the source code of both this Python published data and the entire solution as well. And from this, what we've covered today, the building blocks of AWS portfolio services, example architectures, how our customers run their analytic workloads, and gaming analytics pipeline solution. Where to go from here? I will share these links. Really, you don't have to screenshot it for later. And from this stage, thank you very much. Thank you. Handing over back to you.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting presentation. Thanks again, Greg. Maybe we can start from questions. I think. Are there any questions on site? Do we have any questions here?
Nothing here, but we have online somebody. So Stephanie, do customers using any of this solution pre-production during development?
Yes. So the customers use this solution in both. Actually, I have one customer. I cannot really name the customer, but we've implemented the solution. Maybe not exactly from the integrations page, but it's using the Kinesis, the Firehose, to deliver the data to S3, and we rebuilt the entire pipeline, which was built from RabbitMQ. It was throwing the data to the SQL database. We've rebuilt it to Kinesis, the Firehose throwing the data to S3, and with Athena and the AWS Glue data catalog. So they are both using in development and in productions. Like I mentioned, Supercell and Epic being, the best examples.
Great, thanks for the answer. Let me see if we have any other questions on YouTube. Anything else? Do you know what's the average production ratio of game data to telemetry?
I'm not really sure I get this question. Do you know the average production ratio of game data? Oh, you mean like overall game data to telemetry, how it's produced? So it depends of the game. It depends on type of the game. There is no recipe to answer it like that's 1-to-1 or 1-to-5. That's really case by case. I would say that the ratio of the game data it got with more complicated games with more complicated schemes, like I've mentioned MMORPGs, right? So many times. This ratio will be higher, but it's also I've mentioned about the mechanism. If you have a very noisy game client for your users, you would like to create a mechanism to scale down this noisiness because the people's bandwidth differ, and you don't want to overwhelm the networking connection, or you don't want to just make your game unresponsive, creating again bad user experience, and that all house of cards falls apart.
Okay, thanks. Some more questions. Let's see. No, that's all I think. Thanks again, Greg. That was really good. That we could meet on site here. That's big change, right?
Yeah, big change. That's something what we are actually wanting to do, but because of the pandemic, it is limited. But I can join you again if you will invite me.
I'm ready to do it by prep.
Pizza.
And it's pizza and beer. That's the important part.
That's why I came here for.
Yeah, I hope we can meet later on as well in like maybe bigger audience even. That
Sure.
would be cool.
That would be great.
Okay, that's not over. I think.
Okay, so
we have.
We have actually. Yeah,
we have something.
We picked something. Yeah, we picked
Yes.
somebody, so it's good. But there's another question. Oh yeah, cool. Greg, do you have another question? Yeah, thanks. I was more interested in the general shape of it. If you use more bandwidth to play or producer dose it for data collection. If you want to see this question, Maria will show you this here.
Get me the feed.
Yeah. It's better that way. I know. It's easier to read. This is a continuation.
Okay, I'm still not 100% able to understand the question, but if it comes about the ratio of the game data and data analytics, so you can't really you can predict that, but there is very little you can measure about it. You can dynamically scale it, but other than that, there's not something you can think of, making any reasonable ratio. You could measure it though, and adjust again your telemetry to the gameplay or to the game style you would like to have. But I think I would need to get a clear question about it.
I have an idea actually. I think this was Maciej. Yes, yeah, no, for Maciek. So, how I understand that, what do you think is the ratio between the data that you collect for telemetry and data that is, the amount is bigger on the telemetry side or the gaming side? You know what it means? That is the more weight or measurement
between like a game client and game server.
Exactly.
Yeah. So certainly there is more data collected from game servers because this is your infrastructure, and you are able to basically, you're drawing the statistic of performance, the latency, the performance of your servers. So there is, in terms of volumes, there is way much bigger data collected of the game servers, and that multiplies, right? Because your game servers, they tend to scale. Sure. Like we observed, for example, New World released the MMORPG game recently. So you've seen the scaling from like 60 servers to 136 servers.
And the data flow, it's also
again, that gives you the multiplier of your data telemetry, you try to scale down the telemetry coming from the game clients, because again, you would want to create the best experience for your users. So there is way much more telemetry coming, but about the actual ratio, again, it depends on the game.
Yeah, sure. But there is another thing, when you're thinking about telemetry and all this data, that it's helping you to know your customer in the end. You know the gamers, how they face your application. Don't you think that sometimes this amount of data, it's even more than the game, itself generating? So, when the users stream the data, wherever how they consume the game, You
mean like
the tax is bigger.
The knowledge, the thesis, the hypothesis, and the information you can draw from this data is bigger than you can do from the game.
Yeah, also, but also itself data, that you collect 5 petabytes of data monthly, but your game, I don't know, the streaming of your game, it will took like 2 petabytes, So basically, this data is more, it's creating more value in the end than it's bigger tax. I mean, administration field tax, which is also give you a lot of information, but you need to take into consideration when you're creating the game that it's not only that, that is some part, but the data stream will be bigger from the other part, the telemetry part, instead of the game itself.
The gaming itself, the visuals, the audio, etc. Yeah, so you can certainly think, and this is unique data. If you think about the telemetry, it's more or less unique data you need to process and analyze. That's why, this high computing power is consumed for that. Like Epic does, they have in their presentation the EMR clusters, which scale in thousands of nodes. But if you think about the game data, the visuals, the audio, this is something you repeat over and over again to the same users, right? Because you reuse the assets in game, and telemetry is unique. So of course, the visuals, the data telemetry, it's quite small, like in events.
Exactly.
It has a couple of bytes or kilobytes. When we talk about you aggregate them, that's why you aggregate them from the client side. You are not sending each every event because of latency, right? You aggregate them like this.
And also, it's data that you will appear only once. So if you not collect it right away, or you store it somewhere, you cache it somewhere, on the client side, it's gonna disappear. The other data can be sometimes, like retransferred, recreate, but the telemetry data, it happened and it's gone. If you not digest it.
Yeah, that's why it's for if you design a game in the beginning, when you create a game launchers, you want to think about the crash time analytics, and we have some solutions for that as well. That's not pre-packed in the solutions as the Game Analytics Pipeline, but if you want, you can reach out to AWS. We can help you with that, because it's really important when your game crashes. so you know what.
Why?
And especially very early when you release the game, you must react, extremely fast to have this data to patch your game and to create the best experience you
exactly, because players. Otherwise you have this 46% going down your clients rate. Yeah, it's good. Greg, thank you very much for this, and I will go through one more question. Oh my god, man, you're just like a crown. In general, estimating volumes is tough. I know, been there. If I understand correctly, you can collect as much as possible inside your data center, not directly from player user. Yeah, again, you need to look at it, yeah? Again, sure, man. Oh my god, yeah. I'm not the best lector here, yeah.
It's not that, you
wrong. Come on, man. I understand. No worries. Okay.
If I answer yes, that would be.
That's a good one. No, yeah, it's like a translation from other language,
yeah, but it's like if you think about collecting the data from within your data center in terms of when we speak about AWS services is AWS. So you are only bound by the cost of the data and what you are able to pay for it. We give you all the services to optimize those costs, but that's where you are limited, right? So the S3, as you might know, that it gives you multiple tiers of the storage to optimize the cost, and it scales seamlessly, and you can store those. Epic mentioned 5 petabytes a month. You can store more. My famous example, which I tend to use, if you ever use the storage gateway, it's one of my favorite services. If you create the NFS share, it appears on your system at 7 exabytes. It's the first thing I saw, exabytes on Linux machine, and I was working with storage a lot. So this can give you that, you can really use that 7 exabytes. No worries, we are not limiting you to it. Just go create and dump your data. But then again, you need to be thinking about the cost of it. But yes, if it comes about your own data center, that means also that you have, nobody actually broke the laws of the physics. That's the fastest connection you will have is within your own AWS data center. And that will give you also the possibility to collect more data than you would like to have from your clients. But again, if it comes about the value of the data, I would weight it that if you would like to create the best user experience, you need to focus really what you collect from game clients and from your users, because this will tell you maybe not what are their moods and if they are able to answer social questions, but it will give you information, direct feed, how they are playing your game, if they are playing your game, and most likely if they will return to play your game. And I hope that the long answer.
It was yes, but a long answer, yes. Perfect. Thank you very much. And
thank you for the first time.
Yeah, thank you for the first time. This usually is biblical, 3 times. So, guys, I think that at the moment it's good for pick up the winner.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting here. So what we have today? So we have from the bottom to the up. Yes. Okay.
So what we are giving first is backpacks.
Yeah, backpacks and vouchers. Yeah.
Yeah.
All together. So we have 3 backpacks and 2 vouchers.
Exactly. So
it's going to be complicated. 5 people. So first person is 𝐒𝐳𝐫𝐳𝐞𝐣 25.
Is it somebody from?
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay. Somebody here. Come on, man. The people need to see you. That we are not invented. That we not invited the crowd. Okay, come on, come on here, man. Okay, I will give you a backpack. This unpacked one. Really, it's new. So here you have, and the vouchers. This lady, lovely, will send you later on. Okay, so we have your email address. Thank you very much, man, and see you on the next meeting. Another one. You read it, yes. This is
okay.
the tough one,
Come pick D.
Any possible is also here. No, we didn't cheat. Okay, I will go for a backpack.
That's great. That's another person.
Yeah, the real
from
person.
The audience. Yeah, real person. We actually are here.
A real backpack. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And
thanks a lot.
See you on the next one.
Okay so it's your turn.
p.rycerz. Not here.
No,
Okay,
not
so
this time.
that's the way that we'll connect you on the email, okay? And we have tomek.siemiennik. Also not here, so that this is the last one. And yeah, and I think that's oh no, we'll pick up again because we have second time the same person. It's too much. Come on, it's too much again. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh my God, guys, you have all the time. Oh yes, Maxim.Borisov. I think he's online, so I saw him on YouTube. So we have everything for today. We'll wrap up, and thank you for being here on site, being there online. And remember, if you have something to say about AWS services, come on our stage. Both ways is good. So live and online. This stage is for you guys. And thank you very much again. And see you on the next meeting. When's going to be next meeting? Somewhere in November? November. Yeah, November. Yeah. So somewhere in November, we will have another meeting. And thank you very much. 28. 28 on okay, so October even.
Wow,
oh
that's
so we have in October, and hopefully we'll meet then on site again if it's going to be possible. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you later. Bye. Thanks.
See you. Bye.